Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming today. We are going to get hands-on, so hopefully you're in a place where we can do that. Once we got through these initial slides, you will be signing up for a Salesforce environment to do all of the hands-on activities, and we get to get hands-on with some pretty cool stuff. So hopefully you're able to stay. We realize that this is a longer session because of that, so we are recording, and hopefully I'm able to upload a super long recording to YouTube later, and you can refer back to it. We'll also be giving you links to the exercise guide, and you'll have the org that you create, which will be good through the end of August. So you'll be able to go back and do things again if you want to just focus on what we're doing and not follow along, or however you want to do it. So any questions before we get started, or Tracy, anything you want to add?
No, you covered it all.
All right, cool. For those that just joined, we do have the chat available, of course. So use that if you have questions or comments. Once we get into the hands-on activity, feel free to come off mute and ask questions or say you're stuck, and we'll make sure that we can either slow down or pause so that everybody can get caught up. All right, so we're just gonna start with some slides just to kind of reintroduce this concept of Headless 360. It was really announced at Trailblazer DX this year, back in April, I think, March, April.
March, April, yeah.
Timeline. So it's all very new. We're all learning together and getting excited together. So we're going to introduce it first, and then we're going to once again get hands-on and actually activate an MCP server and start exploring different use cases and what we can do with it, which was really fun when I walked through it. So I'm excited that everybody gets to do it.
And two different experiences.
Two different experiences, yeah.
Glad you had fun.
Okay, so just a quick overview of kind of how agentic AI is changing things. Everyone has been through Agile, I hope, if you're in the Salesforce ecosystem. And now we've got this agentic experience with kind of two paths that you see here. A deterministic path, that's going to be our flows and our apex, and then a probabilistic path, which is our agents who don't have structured answers each time. They're thinking in the background, and things might change, right? That does not mean that everything we build using AI has to be probabilistic. We can use an agent to also develop deterministic components like a flow or Apex, a Lightning Web component. But probabilistic, that's so hard for me to say for some reason.
You're doing really good.
Opens up this kind of whole new world. If you go to the next slide, it's got some different roles here. So this really does touch all roles in the ecosystem. It touches developers who can do vibe coding, which we're going to get into later, to ship a product in days, right? Not months anymore or weeks. Architects are using it to design, to orchestrate agents. Admins are, like we saw last month, using it to do all sorts of admin tasks without having to write code. And everybody, I mean, even our end users will be able to use the outcomes of these. So it really touches every persona in the ecosystem, which is really cool. But it also means that we all need to know what all this is, so that everybody understands what they're touching, right? And yes, agents have totally changed the way that work is done. I guess we didn't actually introduce ourselves, but there's a lot of new faces on the call. Maybe we should have done that. So I am Christy Brown. I am an architect and a consultant at Slalom. So every day I am architecting solutions, working with clients, designing all of these really cool things. And I use AI every day, all day now, to help make those things go faster, to just have a sounding board for brainstorming, even like, hey, I'm thinking that we have these requirements. I want it to do X, Y, Z. It needs to be secure in this way. Help me come up with a plan, or what do you think about that? So it's really touching like every aspect of people's lives. Tracy, I feel like you should introduce yourself now and say how you're
Yeah,
using
so
it.
sorry. Tracy Hart. I manage an enterprise team for the all the GTM systems at my company. We are, as an end user customer, I would say we are looking at all of our tools, which spans 30x, 30 tools just for GTM, and seeing how we can connect them all cleanly to have that end goal of that persona based work from one place existence, because for all of us, we have our our prospecting tools, our enrichment tools, our outreach related tools. It goes on and on and on, and as an end user, especially depending on your persona, you could have 7 tabs open to try and do one thing. So we're very much trying to use and build an agentic experience that makes it feel concise, one place, and done. And so obviously, for those who are on this path like we are, the back end is, I mean, it's a lot of governance strategy talks. It's a lot of, disbanding the way that we currently think about what this has looked like up until this point, and basically a full rebuild. So I'd say like that's my experience with it thus far.
I think that's a really good segue into Headless 360, where you can do everything in one place.
Exactly.
So Headless 360 is more like an overarching concept that includes a bunch of tools and skills and agents and all these things that we'll get into here shortly. But it really allows you to build using any coding agent. So Codex, Cursor, Claude, Gemini, whatever you want to use, deploy that anywhere with these rich experiences that you can build using these tools, and then scale all of the governance and security features along with that. So
for security, hell yeah.
So when I first saw this slide, I stared at it for a long time, wondering how to talk about this, because I know a lot of my clients don't have half of these tools, right? So I want you guys to look at this as this is Salesforce's vision of how all of this comes together. It does not mean that you have to use Agentforce or Slack or Tableau or even Data 360 to make all of this work. These are just the Salesforce products and how they fit together in these different layers.
This is basically like this is like, system Mad Libs, right? Just blank them all out, right? Give me a name of a system of record, right? Fill that in. You're fine.
The important thing here is that you'll see in the middle where it says Customer 360, that's all your Salesforce data, right? That's Salesforce is becoming a system of record, not necessarily the system of experience. And with these MCP capabilities that they're opening up, maybe ChatGPT is your system of experience, or Slack, or sorry, they use system of engagement. Maybe Slack is the system of engagement, or maybe Microsoft Teams, whatever your company is using. And so I feel like that's the biggest distinction here. Data 360, they have listed as the system of context, because Data 360 or Data Cloud, using older terminology, gives you a way to explain and harmonize the things that you see in the system of record of all of your cases and your accounts and your contacts. Not everybody can pay for Data Cloud, Data 360, right? Sometimes people might just have it enabled so that they can use another feature because it has to be enabled to use that feature, but they've not gone through the process of actually setting up Data 360, and that's totally okay. It is not a requirement to do any of this. Then, of course, we've got the AI trust layer at the bottom here that sits between all of that data and our LLMs and our agents down at the bottom. And they've listed a bunch down here: OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, all these different things. So truly you can use any of these tools, whichever one your company is paying for, right? All right, let's move on. And again, this is just reiterating that this really opens Salesforce capabilities. It opens Salesforce data and metadata to all of these different tools so that you can do whatever you want to do with it. Um, go back one. The biggest call out.
No, can't do it.
Okay, it's fine. One call out is that we're not going to be using any of these agents today. Salesforce gave us a custom Salesforce one to use that mimics what these other ones do, because a lot of these you have to pay for to connect in an MCP server, and they didn't want people to have to go sign up and do that. I think Claude does allow you to do one MCP server. ChatGPT, it's a paid option, and I'm not sure about these other ones. So just want to call that out, that we're not going to use any of these ones it says you can use today, but all of the steps will be the same to connect that the same way we are the Salesforce version. I'm done now. Okay.
All right. I know.
Okay, so two kinds of agents. The first one, a coding agent. This is going to be the one that helps you build cool stuff, right? You're going to vibe code until your heart's content. You're going to build cool Lightning web components and flows and awesome React sites. That's all going to be done in a coding agent. Then we've got our runtime agent, and this is going to live really for the end user, so that they can query Salesforce data, ask it to explain your top 10 accounts, or make me a chart about my pipeline, or just have conversations about your data. And we're going to get hands-on with both of these today. We're going to actually flip-flop these. We're going to start with the runtime agent and then do the coding agent. But it is good to understand that they're two different things. All right. And how these work is we give them skills, which is written instructions. It explains how all of these things work, how they should use it, and really creates governance so that these agents, when they're reaching out and using these skills, selecting the skill to use, they know what to do with it. And so they're not just giving you generic things they find on the internet all the time, right? They're actually using your rules, your standards, how your team writes code. And then the MCP on the other side here, this is really how those agents are going to connect to those tools and your data. This is a server. It exposes all of these different capabilities to create data, to manipulate metadata. It's going to be what gives its permissions. And we're going to spend a good chunk of time on that as we get into the exercises, because obviously you don't want to just give an agent access to your whole org and say, have fun, right? That's how everyone's data gets deleted.
Where you see the LinkedIn post from, where everything was deleted. Yeah, I can see how it was.
We don't want to be a horror story. We want to make sure that we're granting access securely, giving permissions to only what is needed. And that includes not just the permissions that we're giving to this agent, but the permissions we're giving to the people who are calling that agent. So your end users or your admins even.
Yeah. Right. Trust no one.
Trust no one. Yeah. All right, so how this works, of course, we know our AI agents like ChatGPT or Claude. Those get connected to and talk back and forth with our tools, and like we just talked about, our authentication and our security. So if we give it these data MCP tools, then they'll be able to return all of these system of record things. That was our customer 360 row on that crazy product chart, right? So it's going to be able to return data. Process MCP tools are going to be able to manipulate that data. They're going to change records, create metadata, help people to flow, deploy a component. And then we've got this other layer of experience MCP tools. And this is where the cool like standalone React sites and stuff come into play, where you're building really cool kind of one-off experiences that can be reused in Slack or Teams or wherever you decide to expose those. That's the one that we're not going to get to today. We're going to focus on data and process. If everybody enjoys this, I think we could set up another one to go through the experience MCP exercise, because I do think it would be really cool. And in this world that Salesforce is envisioning for us, proposing to us, I feel like those skills are going to become really relevant really quick, because how many times have you worked with a company or been in a company where like Salesforce just doesn't cut it? You want to build something that it just can't do, and this is what's going to let you do that. So and just to call out again, the access controls, they're like hiding on the bottom, making sure that we're granting access securely and following principle of least privilege type of thing. All right, all of those things are talking back and forth with our Salesforce org, again, for data and config, for automation, for building processes, and then that headless experience layer, which connects to the experience MCP tools that we just talked about. All right, this is just a call out. Like Salesforce has been building to this for a long time. They've been moving to this API first mentality for years. I really think that
marketing slide.
It's a marketing slide, but it's also true. You know, Lightning Experience was really one of the first big steps towards this API first and their acquisition of MuleSoft. So yes, a marketing slide, but they've been working on all of these for years, which means that we've already been using all these configuration tools for years, right? Like we've been configuring metadata our whole Salesforce careers. We've been putting descriptions and good labels on fields, except for Tracy. She talks about like she leaves Easter eggs everywhere and like talks about pizza and stuff. Like her AI is gonna really like pizza or whatever. But these are things that we've been setting up forever. So yes, marketing slide, but still.
Okay, you know how I feel about what you just said, but continue.
I know. This is also a marketing slide. Agents build really fast, but they need to know what they're doing. So that's what we do with our skills and our MCP servers. This is a list of all of the MCP servers that Salesforce has created already. Well, actually, not all of them. I don't know if there's 60 little boxes on here, but probably close.
Yeah.
We're going to be touching only, I think, 3 or 4 of these today, 3 or 4 of the MCP servers. There is a whole world here of other things to explore and play around with after this workshop, of course. So they've given us 60 plus so far, and you can see down here in the corner like 4,000 plus APIs and all of these cool tools to work with. What you can do with them is up to you, right? I'm sure they'll be still developing those coming up. I got rid of a lot of the marketing slides, guys, but I left this one just so you can see what's actually GA, like what can you actually use of this outside of this workshop in your own orgs. And you can use a lot of it. So you can create the MCP servers now and use the ones that they've provided. You've got all of the pre-built agent skills that they've given us. And then the setup with Agentforce, I feel like everybody has seen a notice at the top of our setup screens like, hey, use this new tool. The Agentforce Vibe, so Vibe Coding 2.0 is out, and then Agentforce Labs is also GA. And I think I left a couple slides after this that are not GA yet, just so that we would know.
I was like, are you sure you want to?
Okay. So this is more of the setup with Agentforce. And I left this one here because you can use it in Salesforce, but it's not yet headless, all of these tools. It says fall 26, so coming pretty soon. I imagine probably at Dreamforce because that's when they announce everything. But just wanted to call out that distinction. And then I think there's one more with the same thing. The experience layer. So, and this is, again, the part that we're not going to get hands-on with today. This is not ready yet. But this will be coming pretty soon. It was supposed to go beta this month, and I bet that there will be more information about this in at Dreamforce, and this will really be where you can take these cool things that we're building in these agents and deploy them across all of these tools like Slackbot and Teams and Gemini and ChatGPT and Claude, wherever else you want to put them. And they all relatively look the same. So consistent user experience.
You are. I just want to be like, hey, I'm Slackbot. You can talk to me anytime, but only 15 messages per week. I'm counting. Sorry. I'm done.
Oh
I'm sorry.
all right, let's move on.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I guess there was another one. Nope, this is pretty much the same
I
thing.
think that's it.
Experience layer.
I'm gonna hit stop sharing on the.
But we need the slide for the link with the for the workshop.
You're right. Hang on. Bringing it back.
All right, so we're gonna get hands-on now. So as soon as Tracy puts the slides back up.
Wow, I'm there. There we go.
All right, everyone go to sforce.co/org sign up. This is the password that you'll put across the top of your screen. It asks for a password. I think it is sensitive.
Yes. Yeah. All caps, guys.
All caps. And then once you do that, stop moving.
I know. Listen, I did a double click. Hang on. It'll be okay. I promise. Calm down.
The link to the exercise guide.
I'm getting there. I'm not a great PowerPoint person, as you know.
I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing. Copy.
Did everybody make it to the org sign up page okay? And I'm gonna start sharing my screen.
That's our workshop. And then let me get you guys to the org sign up page. Copy on that. And then I'll put in the password as well.
It looks like this. And I don't remember my credentials, so I'm going to recover them here.
Well, that is the thing that, especially in these early steps, I kept up my own Google sheet. You may not think that you need it, but save every last thing you're being asked to be copied, from our consumer keys to your username and password here. Just save it in a separate sheet, because I have found through going through this workshop, it's a long one, and I found that I've gotten myself logged out of the org, and then finding my way back would have been problematic without these things.
Yeah. If you don't save your username and password, you can come back to this same org sign up screen and put in the event code again and your email, and then click this access org button, and it'll send you an email with a login link, thankfully. And you should be getting an email that looks something like this, saying that your environment is ready. And then you can click this log into your Salesforce org button to launch your org. And I cannot see anybody anymore. So
I'm monitoring the chat.
Maybe just put a thumbs up in the chat or something. I'm not sure how else we can say, like, yeah, we've done that, or we've got our org.
This part should be relatively fast. There's a couple parts down the road that take 10 minutes. But this part, you should be getting into your orgs relatively quickly.
Yep. I'm gonna do this weird matrix thing just so I can look at our. We've got 3 thumbs up so far.
So sorry. I realized I was on mute the whole time. I was saying, I was like, we have 3 thumbs up so far. I'm going to wait until we get to 5 thumbs up before I let you continue.
Okay. Once you get into your org, it will look like this. We've all got the same one, which is great.
For now, ignore her left column.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just brought up the exercise guide so that I can see it too as we go along.
I see 4 thumbs up. I'm looking for 5 people before I let her talk again.
I will just call out if you're exiting out of your email, we will need it at least one more time, 2 more times. So maybe leave your email open after you open your org. I always X out of my Gmail thinking, oh, I'm totally done. And then I have to go open it again. So.
We're keeping solid at 4. So we may just have watchers here, which is totally fine, guys. No judgment. If anybody's thumbs down, I would say speak now. Otherwise, I'm going to let Christy move on. All right, go for it, girl.
Okay, cool. So we'll put a link to the exercise guide in the chat. I think that was the first thing I posted. That's what I've got open on the left over here. Let me just show you how it normally looks. We're going to be going through this first section, Explore Salesforce Hosted MCPs, and that's going to give us our use cases where we're basically an end user interacting with the data, talking about accounts, asking for charts, doing cool stuff, the core setup of our MCP servers. And then we're going to also do the build with Agentforce vibes section to get hands-on with that, help me code something cool. So if you want to follow along in the exercise guide, otherwise I've got it up here and I'm just going to kind of collapse it so that you can see what I'm doing. And we're going to click into exercise 1. And exercise 1 seems really silly. It's just changing our email address in the org. But it's very important because once we get into our external connected app, we're going to need to get our client secret and key, and those will be emailed. So let's start with that. So we're going to go to setup, and we're going to go to users, and our username is Epic Org Farm. We're like cows.
Wow.
So
okay.
It was the only farm. We're okay. Chickens. I don't know. We're farm animals. Go ahead and click edit next to that user. And you're going to want to enter a valid email that you can access and get email at here. And then click save. And then it'll send you a confirmation email. And you'll just click the link in that email to validate the email change. And once you do that, it'll change your configuration check to a question mark here on you have a verified user email. So we'll pause there and let everybody get back into their email.
I mean, honestly, Christy, like if we're playing this, like when you and I attend workshops, they've already done the step. So I'm guessing they're ahead of us. So I'd say move on to the next part.
Okie dokie. But again, if you don't change your email, it'll be a bottleneck for you
right
later.
Out the gate.
So do it. Okay, cool. All right, now we're going to move into creating an external client app. And this is really going to be how we're providing access to the agent to access our org. We're going to tell it what it has access to and how. So we're going to go back to setup. In our quick find, you can just start typing external, and we want the external client app manager. And I already created mine. You're going to click this new external client app button. And for our label, and I feel like labels and API names become more important when we're working with AI, and we can start thinking about our labels as this is our human readable name, and this is our well, I mean, it's already called API name, but this is what systems and tools will be looking at as API names, right? So that should autofill for you. You're also going to add your email address here again.
This is one where I had a question for you, Christy, because I mean, obviously, we're making external client apps a lot now, right? Because, additional security, long are the days of how we used to do this.
Yeah.
But we're doing this for a company, right? What has been your protocol or your recommendation for clients? Because I'm thinking I should make like a shared Gmail so that if and when people exit, right, it's not using tracy.hart@company.com.
Yeah, I think
I feel like even in this small thing, we should develop a protocol now.
For sure, yeah. I mean, this is really just saying like who's responsible for this app if something goes wrong. But yeah, you can add if you have an admin group email or something where turnover won't make a difference and you won't have to go update it. This isn't linking to any one user, so it's not going to break anything. Like you're just putting static information here. But yeah, that could come out of date really quickly, right?
Yeah.
I also want to call out for the client name. They've chosen to put this as Workshop MCP client. You're going to want to create an external client app for each tool you're connecting to, right? So there should be one for Claude. You should have a different one for ChatGPT. You should have a different one for whatever the next tool is you're going to connect. And you want to name them accordingly. That way you have great auditing and you don't necessarily want to give each one the same permissions or access, right? So having separate ones is definitely best practice.
Yeah. Name the tools up front. Don't waste the name.
Yeah. Same way you would do for like an integration user, right? Like you're going to have a Marketo user and a Bevy user. I don't know. For some reason, I forgot every platform.
You forgot every tool? Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to expand this API, enable OAuth set box, which gives us a bunch of other settings here. Tracy, can you put our callback URL in the chat in case people don't have the exercise guide open?
I'm grabbing it now.
Cool. Make sure that you copy and paste this in exactly. The callback URL is where Salesforce is going to send the browser back to once it's been authenticated. So this is really important. And I'll just wait a second for people to copy paste that. All right. Then we get into our OAuth scopes, and this is going to be what we're giving access to. So we want to enable...
We have a hand raised from Bobby.
Oh, go.
Bobby, you can come off mute.
I'm doing the external client app manager, and I entered the Workshop MCP client. What did you put as the contact email? And
oh, you can just put your email address.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
For the workshop, your email for your company, think of like a shared email.
Yeah, it's not going to email you anything, so it's really just there as who's responsible for this app, really.
Who do we yell at?
Okay. Yeah. Who gave too much access? Okay. All right. Do we have thumbs up for the callback URL?
We have no action, which I'm assuming is good news.
Okay. All right. So again, we're down at our OAuth scopes. We're going to scroll down a little bit and select perform request at any time, refresh token, offline access, and move that over to the right. And we're also going to select access Salesforce hosted MCP servers, which is kind of down at the bottom here. And if they would ever organize lists and just,
right?
Alphabetical, that would be so helpful.
Oh my God. This list pissed me off.
I would get yelled at.
It's so hard to find things sometimes.
Oh, access. Hey, oh, nope, maybe not.
Okay. All right. So we're just selecting these two. Of course, there's tons of other ones, right? We only need these two for what we're doing. I suggest, I mean, if you're interested in truly understanding what each one of these does, copy and paste them into ChatGPT or Claude, whatever your friendly AI agent is, and ask what these mean, and especially before you select them and start giving them as access to an agent. All right, we are going to scroll down a little bit under this security heading here. We are going to first make sure this is checked, require secret for web server flow. Oh, we're going to uncheck it. Sorry. So uncheck the first one.
Uncheck those. Thank you.
Uncheck the second one.
Perfect.
We're going to leave the third one checked. It should be checked by default, but just make sure. And then we're also going to check this issue JSON web token so that it can go through this JWT flow.
One thing that I want to call out, and this may be just Tracy's unique in the level of mistakes that she makes, but if you're making, just in general, if you're making an external client app and you're going the JWT route, that external app, JWT and SOAP API can't live together because they use different types of tokens. And so you'll go down a frustrating rabbit hole of why the hell isn't this working? And so I just want to call that out. If you are going the JWT route, you better make sure that SOAP API is like unselected. Otherwise, you're just heading into a world of Tracy, and that's just painful. So just wanted to call that one out specifically.
Yeah, good call out. All right, once you have those checked, you're going to go ahead and click Create. I'm going to click Cancel since I already have mine created here, and I'll click into the one that I already did. It might not say enabled right away. It is similar to DNS settings where it takes a few minutes. So once you click Create, we're going to move on to our next step. Maybe give us some thumbs up if everyone has them created.
Got a thumbs up. Got a couple. You're good.
Cool. All right. So this external client app is really saying how the agent or tool can authenticate with Salesforce. We set up the OAuth policies. It says what we're going to allow them to have access to, but now we need to set up a permission set to give our users access to use this app that we just created. So in the quick find, we can search for permission sets.
And this should be the path that you guys take for every external client app. Again, everything that you do, these are the steps that you should create every time.
Yep. All right, so we're going to click New to create a new permission set. The exercise guide says to use MCP client user. You don't have to name it that if you don't want to.
It's a terrible name.
Yeah, but definitely, just like we said, you should create a different, external connected app for each one of these tools. You should name your permission sets accordingly and use good descriptions so that you know which tools you're giving permissions to, right? So just as a best practice. And then click Save. I click Cancel again because I already did it. And I will go find my one. And we're not actually assigning any object or field access. We're not really doing anything with this. It's just a permission set that we can assign to users to say that they can use this tool. So we're going to click Manage Assignments, and we're going to assign it to yourself. And remember, you are org farm epic. So when you click Add Assignment, make sure you're selecting that org farm epic user. Click Next and then Save to assign that to yourself. And I will wait for thumbs up that we've gone that far. I will say, hands down, that is something that I forget to do 97% of the time when I create a permission set for something. I don't actually assign it to myself or anyone else. So I'm like, why isn't this working? I totally did that.
Oh, you beautiful soul. That's what you do wrong? Okay, fair.
Which I feel like is not good. I do everything else. So
I mean, I enjoy it because it proves that you are indeed human. So,
I am human.
oh, we got a thumbs up here.
All right, cool. All right, so now we need to add that back into our external client app that we created. So we're gonna search again for external, go back into our external client app manager, and you can just click right into it.
Should have loaded for everybody by now, but if not, it just needs a couple more minutes.
Yeah. All right. If you are loaded and ready to go, you can see there's 3 tabs here. We want to just make sure we're on the policies tab, and over on the right, we're going to click edit. And the first thing we're going to do is click OAuth policies down at the bottom. And we're going to change permitted users to admin approved users are pre-authorized. It should automatically be set on all users can self-authorize. We don't want that.
We never want that.
We never want that. We want admin approved users are pre-authorized. All right. It might ask you to click OK. And then we're going to scroll back up, and still on this app policies section, for select permission sets, you're going to choose the permission set that we just created, either MCP client user or whatever you chose to call it, my cool permission set, whatever it might be, and just move it over to the right. And then we're going to click save. So now we've set up this external client app to understand how a tool or an agent can authorize with our org. We've given it permissions, told it which policies it's allowed to utilize, and now we've also given it, we've said who can access this app to use the agent. So that's what our permission set is doing here. All right, now we're going to click on settings in these little tabs up at the top here. We're going to open up this OAuth settings menu, and we're going to click this link for consumer key and secret. And when you click that, it's probably going to ask you to...
It gets hella paranoid and makes you confirm who you are again.
Yeah. Which is good. We don't want to be giving out those credentials to anybody. Click verify. And then it'll give you your codes. Now, I'm showing these on screen. I'm okay because this is a temporary org. Obviously, you would never let anybody view this information. Don't save it in a public place.
For today, for this, go and copy and save those to your file.
Yeah, you can copy and paste these in a text document, or you could even just leave this page open and come back to the tab when we need to use these. Gonna assume everyone is there because that's easy.
That is looking fine. You're okay.
Cool. All right. All right. Now in our setup quick find, we're going to search for MCP servers.
I just want to call out here. Click on the one under API catalog.
There are 2 here called the same thing. Yeah, we want the second
Bastards.
one under API catalog. We're going to open MCP servers. And we're going to activate some of these. So all of them will show inactive for you guys. We're going to start with this S-object all. So you're going to click into that. And there should be an activate button up in the top right. Click that. And then you can just click the breadcrumb back to MCP servers. We're also going to enable Salesforce API context. So find that in your list and do the same thing. We're going to click into it and then click the activate button in the top right. And then we're going to enable one more, metadata experts. So find that in your list and click the button to activate it. And I'm just going to go back real quickly into, let's do the S object all, and we can just see what's actually in here. So firstly, it gives the API name and the actual server URL, so what the agent's going to use to access this. But if you click on the Tools tab, this is going to tell you all of the things that this MCP server can do. Sorry, were you saying something or did I echo?
Echoed, but it's all good.
All right. So we'll see that when we access this MCP server, we'll be able to get records. We can perform SOQL queries. We can search across objects with SOSL queries. We can get our object schema. So what are the objects and fields that are, on account or related to X? We can create records and update records. I want to point out that this also includes delete records. So it is nice that they call out the destructive ones here. And also, delete related records. So even with the Salesforce provided MCP servers, I think that it's going to be best practice to make sure that you review what are all the operations that are actually in here that an agent would be able to interact with. Okay.
Always maybe just start with your S object reads,
Yeah.
This is a big gun,
Okay. All right, so that was the main setup for access to these MCP servers. So I'm going to move to exercise 2, where we're going to connect our orgs to the Headless 360 playground. So we can, will you pop that link in the chat for everybody?
Yes, I am grabbing that.
Okay, I think I have that here.
Oh, wait, it has me logged in. Hang on.
Whoops. You know what I'm copying and pasting here.
Technically, yeah, it redirects you. Oh, Mark, you're the best. Yeah, within exercise 2, that you are opening another tab, guys. So you have probably your email tab open. You have your 2 tabs open for your homepage and your setup menu of your org, and now you're opening the Headless 360 playground. And probably you have your consumer secret tab open. So that's how many we're working with so far.
Is that the link Mark gave us there? I'm just going to paste, make sure it's the right one. Here's the playground. It is password protected. I believe our password is workshop, all lowercase. Will you confirm on the slides, Tracy, though?
Let me look. Where's the slides? Yes, workshop, all lowercase.
Perfect.
And there we go. There's I got what needed. Found it.
Okay.
Playground, right there.
Playground. Boom.
And then workshop.
And again, this Headless 360 playground is taking the place of like a ChatGPT or a Claude for us for today. This is going to work and be set up in the same way. All right, once you have it open, we're actually going to go back to our Salesforce org. We're going to go to my domain, and we want to copy our my domain URL. So just this first one here, copy this guy. And then we're going to go back to our Headless 360 playground, so I can't talk anymore, that we just opened. We're going to make sure that we're on this setup tab. And in our instance URL here, we're going to paste our URL. We want to make sure that we keep the HTTPS portion of that. So make sure you retain that. I'll wait just a second.
I will say also, as you come back to this playground, or as you're working through the other exercises in this workshop, I found in my experience that the playground was the fastest to log me out. And so that's where I would get a lot of disconnects and my errors would occur. So when in doubt, come back to setup and hit connect org, because odds are is that it's disconnected you, because it honestly felt like it was disconnecting me every 30 minutes. So if you have that same experience, come back to setup here in your playground and reconnect.
Meanwhile, I had mine open for hours and it never disconnected.
And it's good that we have two separate experiences, because if you were the only one talking, I guarantee people on this call would be pissed at you. They'd be like, oh, it always works for Christy.
Everyone else is doing it wrong. Okay.
No.
Next up, we're going to copy and paste in our consumer key and secrets that we had. So I'm going to copy mine. I left my tab open. You might have put it somewhere else. So just go find wherever you put it. Make sure you put the key and the key and the secret in the secret. All right. I feel like I hit paste twice. Okay. Again, just calling out, don't ever give this information to anybody. All right.
Unless they seem really nice.
Unless they're Tracy. All right. Once you have those in, you can click connect org. And it should give you a connected, status down here. Says it's okay.
And I will say again, within the playground, we're going to see connected statuses throughout. Yep. This blue on blue color scheme gives you no satisfying connection color. So read closely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to give you a green checkbox, or I feel like this okay should be green and bold or something. But all right, so
no, we're going to do blue on blue.
Yes. We love Salesforce Blue. All right, so once you're connected, you can see that we're connected to our domain. We can see that our Salesforce hosted MCP has been granted access. So that's our connected external connected app that we created, and it's gone through that JWT flow and said okay. And then we can also see that these are the scopes that we've given it, the ones that we added in our connected external connected app. So this is everything that we set up so far. So cool. Always good to just check those things, because maybe you accidentally granted it 3 other scopes that you didn't mean to because you were drinking a Coke while you were pushing the button or something. Just make sure that it's got access to what you want it to have access to. All right. Up at the top now, we're on setup. We're going to click the servers tab. I don't want it to save my password. All right, we are going to click the S-Object All pill here, and we're going to click Add. You can see that when I clicked that, it added the URL for that, the endpoint. You could add a name to it if you wanted to, but we're going to click Add, and now we can see that this is added down here. If we click the Test button, it'll just check to make sure that it can access that endpoint okay. And then again, it'll give us a list of all of the tools that we're allowing it to have access to. And again, those are the same tools that we saw when we were activating the different servers in our Salesforce org. All right, now we did, which one did we did? We did S-Object All. We want to do the same thing for Salesforce API context. So we're going to click that pill, click Add. And let's just do the same thing. Let's click Test on that guy to make sure that it connects okay. Looks good. All right. Now, the fun part. So let's just recap again, because all the things that we've done are really simple, right? Like this was very simple to set up, but they're hugely important. And we did a lot of different things. So just want to reiterate again that this connected external connected app, however you want to say it, is telling this playground, this tool, this agent that we're using, how it can authenticate. We've called it authenticated. We've given it access to all of these different tools and MCP servers, and we're allowed to use them because our user has that permission set that we said this person can use our permission set. So now let's test it. So up at the top, we're going to hit the chat button, and this is the super fun part. So there's some prompts in the exercise guide. Tracy, are you putting those in the chat as we go?
Yes, yeah.
Have it open? Okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to ask what Salesforce objects and fields are most relevant for understanding Sales Cloud activity in this org, which is like a huge question, right? And we're telling it, giving it a little bit more context, telling it to focus on account lead, opportunity campaign, campaign member, task, and contact, which I feel like is a really big question, and it's going to return a lot of things. Before we hit send, we need to tell it which tools it can access. So we're going to click on tools, and I'm going to click all on this Salesforce API context. Yep. And now I'm going to send my prompt. And again, this will look like any other agent, like ChatGPT, like whoever. It's telling you what it's doing in the background. So we can see that it called our Salesforce API context. So it called our MCP server, and it's using the get data and tooling API context tool that it has within that MCP server. And now it's giving us all sorts of data. I feel
so
like
much freaking, oh my God.
So much that the first time I ran it, it just kept going and going and going. But we asked it to give us information about like 8 different things, right? So the big things are, yes, it's connected to our org. It can read these accounts. It's returning relevant fields that it thinks are relevant to our Sales Cloud activity. It's got our labels, our API names, what type of field it is, and why it matters. So it can tell us, you know, why account source is useful. It did give us. Sorry, go ahead. Are you gonna say something?
This is an area where, I mean, since we have these orgs end of August, because like with every other Salesforce exercise, it's well-meaning but hella generic. This is where, you know, this is where I would utilize dummy data, and I would create custom fields across objects that are relevant to me in my moment and prompt this again. Because right now, yes, this is overwhelming and it looks impressive in theory, but it's like, oh, look, you just heard that number of employees is important. It's like, honestly, jump off a cliff, you know? So it would be good just for yourselves, especially with whatever product you may be working on, utilize this org to fill, you know, get an Excel file and fill data and make a couple fields across these objects and see how it does then, you know?
Yeah. Or just explore all the dummy data that they put into these orgs, yeah, so that you can ask it relevant questions and try to trip it up.
I dove into the dummy data on this org. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I'm sure. So at the bottom here, after it's explained each of these objects in our relevant fields, it's actually drawn us a little chart about how all of these objects are related, which I think is really useful. And then it also gives us key cross-object relationships. So why do we care about the what ID and the who ID in a task, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, so let's do another similar one. This is going to be another big prompt. And actually, I might just, well, no, I was going to say, let me just do the account, but I'm just going to leave it as is for for exercise sake. And then, like Tracy said, start asking it whatever you want, right? So again, just want to call out here that this is still using the tools that we gave it, which is access to the Salesforce API context server, MCP server, and then these are the different queries that it's making. If I actually click this little guy next to it, I can see what it's actually sending. Oh, and it didn't send anything yet, so let's wait till it actually does something first. Still not doing anything. In theory, that's where you would be able to see like the SQL query that it generated, and it would show you exactly the SQL query and what it's returning. Maybe we can illustrate that on a different prompt so that you can see that.
Tyler's asking, did you ask it to create an object data model specifically?
No, so right now we're only exploring data that's already in these orgs. So we connected to our org that we just signed up for with this agent using these MCP servers, and it's just pulling back data. So we're not asking it to create or do anything yet. All right, I think that's enough of that. I think everybody can clearly see that, yes, we can pull metadata information back. So now we've looked at metadata. Let's try looking at actual data in our org. So we're going to click the tools again. I'm going to give it access to this S-object all MCP server now. And remember, this is the one that does all the scary things where it can create records, delete records, do all of our SQL queries, and whatnot. So make sure you click the S-object all, so it just selects all of them for us. So you should have 17 tools highlighted in the bottom there. And now we're going to ask it something a little bit simpler. Show me a sample of accounts by state, industry type, and employee count. And I'm going to send that off. It's going to think about it for a minute. All right, so we can see now we're accessing that S-object all MCP server, and it's using the tool SQL query. And it gave us this is what I was trying to show before. If we open this little guy, it'll show you the exact SQL query that it sent. So it's looking for 50 top accounts. So here's just that, 50 accounts sampled across all of these different things, and it gave us the information that we asked for, the state, industry type, and employees. All right, so now we can do that. Let's try to narrow that a little bit. So let's say which Nevada accounts have the largest employee counts, and then summarize why they might be good sales priorities. So we can start asking more targeted questions about our data.
And again, this is where, especially in this org, you see, oh, well, this is an example of an org that has perfect data.
Yeah.
They put in the next steps and they track their tasks, you know.
Yeah, this is assuming that your sales reps did a good job entering information. So we can see here that, again, it's using that S-object all MCP server. It did 1, 2, 3 SQL queries, and it also got our object schema for the account. So it did a bunch of different things for us, and it spit back out 15 Nevada accounts ranked by open pipeline. And we can see all these cool things. And then it has summarized those for us down at the bottom, told us why each of these should be a priority based on, of course, the quality of data that is in your org, as Tracy keeps pointing out, which is like the best call out, right? So yeah, I feel like that, I don't know if we really need to keep going down that path. Again, you guys have these orgs until the end of August, so ask away.
I'd skip to step 5 because it's right now it's just blowing smoke. Oh yes, find the top, find my top pipeline. Okay.
All right, so now we're going to start prompt it like, hey, which of these opportunities actually need my attention? And this will, once we identify those, we can start getting us to create follow-up tasks and, do some stuff. So, and this is how your end users will use these tools, right? They're going to start asking it all sorts of questions about your data. If your data sucks, it's going to give you sucky answers and maybe steer your salespeople or your support agents in the wrong direction. So we'll iterate that forever and ever and ever. All right. So, wow, I'm a really terrible salesperson. I have a whole bunch of things that have never had activity and are. I've got a bunch of overdue tasks. Wow, we have a systematic pattern of org-wide risk flag. So lots of things that we can do here. I'd
say like let's skip this. This is something that you guys can do as well. Like these are all like optional prompts. But I do have a question for you, Christy. I know we're doing S object all, but this could have been a situation where we also brought over S object read and been able to do these prompts. So you could have done this without the danger one,
Yeah, absolutely. I think they chose S object all because we are the admins of these practice orgs, of course, and they didn't want you to have to go back and forth or create a bunch of different clients to test out these things. But yeah, absolutely. If you were creating this for a use case for a sales user, yeah, you would never give them half of these tools. You would give them a read access. Exactly. So yeah, let's I'm gonna do step 6 real quick, at least one of them, just because I want you to also see that you can ask it to like create charts or cool things that you could stick into a slide presentation or something. Let's just see what the output of that looks like. And I think that's fun. So again, it's doing a SQL query. It's finding these opportunities and their stage names and their amounts. And it's going to put it in a chart for me. Now, could I have made the same chart in the same amount of time with a report and a dashboard? Would take a little bit longer, right? So on the fly, people can be asking questions about their data and be able to visualize it in this way very, very quickly. I would say
you're as sales leaders, they can't do it as fast.
Yeah, I would just do a call out because I'm big on data. We all have sometimes different definitions for what stages mean or which fields you filter in a report that these agents will not necessarily know about unless you give it to them in a skill or something that we're assigning to them. So I would just caution that as people are asking questions and creating charts like this using an agent, it will not always match the reports and dashboards that you're building for them as an admin or as a developer, because we know all the correct filters and rules to apply, and they just asked this one random question. So you might have people start coming to you like, hey, well, I just built this report with ChatGPT and it does not match what you built. So why are you so bad at your job? Or,
I think that's always the follow-up statement too. I'm like, okay, well.
Okay. Let's do one more example of this that I think is good. So this actually creates a PDF summary and gives you a file to download. And I think that's also a strong one that people could use to save time, as they're asking for reports or executive summaries for various sales leaders or service leaders or whoever's asking for something, or even for a client, right, if you're a consultant. So let's see what this does. And then we're going to learn how to create our own MCP servers, which is so exciting. thinking really hard about this one, doing so many SQL queries. Now it's generating our PDF, which is so exciting. You could probably ask it to like generate this chart as a PDF output too. So just using the terms, you know, PDF will get you this type of output. Which I just kind of assume at this point we've all tried using Claude or ChatGPT or whatever as well. I've noticed lately that ChatGPT is much better about creating like Excel workbooks. Like 6 months ago when I asked it to help create a file, it would say it did, but it never actually gave me the file, or it wasn't actually downloadable. But now it works much better. So,
I mean, I did like that hated Excel. I did. I mean, kind of nice.
All right, here we go. So it's generated this PDF for us. If it ever stops talking, I'll hit the preview button here. So this is what our PDF looks like. Really pretty. I would send that to a sales leader or something. It gave us some action items.
Without the damn emojis.
No way. I would add emojis anyways. I love me some
Oh
emojis.
my god.
Like you could generate this and run a meeting from it, right? So, and then of course you could download it, which I'm not going to do. And let's move on. Let's any questions, comments about kind of the end user experience so far, or any use cases that you're looking at already in your companies or something like this?
No questions in the chat yet.
All right, well, let's head back to our Salesforce org. We're still on the setup page. We are going to go back to our MCP servers. And remember, we're choosing the one under API catalog. All right, and we should have our 3 that we've activated already. We are going to create a new one now. So up in this blue button, add MCP server, we're going to choose create Salesforce MCP server. We're going to call this custom sales tools. Of course, you would call it whatever is relevant for what you're doing, but keep it very clear, because as people are prompting, that's the tool name, the MCP server that's gonna show there. So don't call it like Jake requested this, what a butthead, you know. And click create. And I already created mine, so I'm gonna click cancel and just click into it. All right, so once we have it created, it'll look just like the Salesforce provided ones that we activated before. Let me see, I'm going to deactivate mine so that I can go through these steps with you. So we're going to click this Add Server Assets button, and we're going to do Add Tools. And we are going to give it this Create Account Sync Meeting task. And once you click that, you're going to click Add Tool. It's going to add it, and then click Save.
Make sure that part saves, because that did not for me, and it created a problem quickly. So
yeah, so once you think it's saved, maybe click on this Tools tab and see if you have this Create Account Sync Meeting task, which is an Apex class that we're giving the agent access to.
yeah, this screen right now, make sure to have all 4 of what Christy owned.
Yep. All right. We're also going to add, are we doing add from add tools again? Apex actions we did. Let's click on flows. We're going to add the account health check calculator. Click add and save. So that and then you should have 2 now. in your list, account health check calculator, and create account sync meeting list. And then we're going to do add server assets again, but this time instead of add tools, we're going to select add from server. And we are going to do S object reads, this one. And in that one, we're going to add query records SOQL and search across objects SOSL. So make sure you click the add tool buttons over on the right and then click the save button.
I think I was a victim of the add, but didn't hit the lower button. I think that's what happened to me.
There's so many buttons. All right, so then in your tools tab here, we should have 4 tools listed. This custom sales tools MCP server that we're creating now is definitely more representative of what you would give a sales rep, right? We're giving them read-only access to query records, both on a singular object and across objects. We're giving them access to this health check calculator flow that we created in our minds somewhere, and then we're also giving them access to create tasks, meeting tasks. So definitely more representative. All right. If you've got all 4 of those, we're going to click the activate button up at the top here. Perfect. And then we are going to head back to our playground. We are going to click on the servers tab again, and then in the add a server URL field here, we're going to add our URL from the details tab of that custom server that we just created. So we can copy and paste that into that URL. Again, you could give it a name, make sure we click add, and then again, let's test it to make sure that it can actually access that endpoint. So I've got a green OK here, which is great, not blue on blue, and we can see that we've got our 4 tools that we assigned to that server. All right. So now we're going to do some stuff with it again. So let's go back to chat. I am going to select all on our custom sales tools that we just enabled. Is everybody good so far? I know those were all easy steps, but there were a few steps. So maybe throw a thumbs up if...
We haven't had any complaints yet.
Okay. All right, I'm going to copy and paste another prompt here. Find the account named Arroyo Medical Group and check the account health. Cool. So we should see it. Use our tools. So we can see it used S-object-all to find, I probably should have unselected those tools, but it used that to find the account, great. And then it's using our custom sales tools MCP server that we just connected to run that flow, the account health flow. And this is the output of our flow here. So it's calculating different scores for us and telling us the different values of the fields that make up that score, what the breakdown is, and then some risk information. So that's cool. So I feel like we should create a follow-up meeting for this. So let's test out manipulating data. So this should create a task for us to meet with these people.
This also is 2 examples for you if you did something incorrect in the previous step. So if you don't see the health score, that's letting you know that something's missing. And then if this is having trouble creating a task for you, then again, go head back to your custom server because you're missing one of those skills.
Yeah. All right, so it says that it created a task for us, sync meeting preparation task. So we can see it here, obviously, but I have little trust, so I'm going to
log into the OR, go to REO.
Yeah, so I'm just going to navigate to my account. We can look at our open activities and actually see it here. Oh, what was it called again that we just created? Sync.
What was that first one? It was that really long.
But that's not the subject that it said it did. It said.
I saw it.
Although there's a.
Yeah, this one.
7:15, 3:25. Oh, that's right. All right. So this is the
That's
one
it.
muted. But in gosh, where's my? It said a sync meeting preparation. I guess I assumed that would be the subject of the task. I don't see that text anywhere in here,
No,
which is interesting.
If you look at the index, it's a very verbose subject line that is an interest.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's an example of how we can create data. So perfect. So I think as you start messing around with this more, have it create a case for you, have it create an account even, and see what it does if you don't have all the required fields. I think this is a great environment and opportunity to play with these tools and figure out how they work before you have to do it for realsies and break something.
Your reps break.
All right. Okay, so that concludes the first part where we're setting up our MCP servers, which was actually really easy, right? It was just the external connected app and then assigning some tools and a permission set. And that's really all it took to connect and start interacting with our data. I think that's both good and bad that it's so easy, because maybe you'll do it too much. It's so easy. You don't need to connect 12 of these, right? But definitely you can play around with this. I think take Tracy's suggestion and create custom MCP for servers that have different tools assigned with different access levels. Make sure you assign different permissions for those and just play with them and see like what would be a real world scenario that we would want to set up for our company. All right, so now we're going to switch gears and we're going to get into the coding agent part of this. And we are going to do some vibe coding, which is super cool. So I'm going to close out some of these windows. We're still going to be using our Salesforce org, of course. And let me open up step 1 here. There are a couple things that we need to set up again. So firstly, I'm going to go to my setup icon and select Agentforce Vibes from the menu. That's going to open in a new window, and it's going to look a lot like VS Code. It'll take a couple minutes to set itself up since this is the first time that we're opening it. So give it a minute, maybe take a water break or something, and come back in a couple minutes.
This actually
it'll be ready.
It does take a couple minutes. This is the long part.
What was that?
I said this does take a couple minutes. This is the long. Yeah. And then I like that, like step 3 was like, hey, you're on the old version. The first thing that you have to do is upgrade everything. And
which is good to know how to do. Now, Agentforce Vibes is an add-on license. I think depending on with a few plans, of course. I don't have any clients or know of anybody who has actually purchased it. So it's fun to get in and play with it. So I think, again, this org gives us a great opportunity to play around with these tools. I did also get an opportunity to play with it at Trailblazer X this year, but yeah, since it is an added cost, and I also think that the token usage was different, or it was like based on project or prompts, or just like the number of things you're giving it, you would run out, within a month. So definitely, if you're gonna use Agentforce Vibes, make sure you understand the licensing model and what you're allowed to access and how much.
This is another thing where, especially if you are on teams where you have buying influence and you can see yourself like tools like this in the foreseeable future. Obviously, we're in a time frame right now where things are changing really, really fast. So this may only be relevant for like the next quarter, but even still, that's 3 months of usable data. We have this for until the end of August. I know I may be a level of crazy, but let me share with you, and then you consider what makes the most sense for you. I would use Agentforce Vibes. I would literally record myself doing either a Loom or Snagit or whatever, walking through it and playing with it as the admin, playing with it as the developer, because I'm going to save that for later as I go through other vendors. And then when I go through Salesforce to get their demo of Agentforce Vibes, as we all know, every vendor always gives the best foot forward, which may not have all of its truthfulness in it. So being able to go back to this recording of when you were in the playground could help you ask more in-depth questions and could help you, make better decisions. So just another way to like use this org for your benefit for at least the next 3 months.
Yep. Okay. Mine finished doing what it was doing, so I'm assuming that your guys' did too.
Yeah, we must be in a quiet moment because that was fast.
I think that went much faster than the last time I did it. It should automatically open to this little Cody tab, which is the Agentforce Vibes tab, and give you this I agree to the terms and rules and all the things, and then you're going to click enable Agentforce. Then you'll get a screen like this in the side here. I will also note that once you start this, it'll automatically create a new project for you. So all of that is done already. All right, we're going to update all of our things now. Tab are these 4 little building blocks here, and we'll just wait for those to load quickly. Don't care about that. It's 3 dots next to the extension thing. You're going to click check for extension updates. Click that.
And that doesn't appear right on Christy's screen. Again, you're looking at the left column, those 3 dots. When you click on those 3 dots, you'll see what she's saying where it says check for extensions.
Yeah. It'll take a minute. You'll see kind of each one highlighting and unhighlighting until it gets to the bottom of the list. And then when it's done, you'll see the little cloud with the little down arrow. Click on that to update all the extensions, and it'll start uploading. It'll make you reload the window so that they all go into effect. And I'll just hold a minute because I know the first time I did a couple minutes because it updated like all 30 of them or something. It is interesting though that I went through this again yesterday and I already have an update. So that's how fast they're updating all of these things.
How fast they're updating or how fast they're releasing patches? One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. Okay. All right, we're reloaded now, and then I'm going to head back to our Agentforce Vibes icon. Click on Cool Cody here. And
which again, let's go to frustration here. These icons are caveman hieroglyphics, and they suck. The fact that there are 2 cloud icons piss me off.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that either. The one with the question mark and then the actual org browser.
You never want the one with question mark. Let me just clear that out for you. It's the one down at the bottom.
All right, could we get some thumbs up? Just make sure everybody is set up here. We don't have to do much more. We're gonna jump into a project already. So that's really all you had to do was set this up, was accept the terms and conditions, make sure all the extensions are up to date, and then you're off to the races.
We have 3 thumbs ups. You're good.
Nice. All right. Okay. The is, let's just get a tour here. So for those of you who are not already using Visual Studio Code all the time, one, you should be, because it's a great tool. That's where I do all of my coding or looking at different components across the org, creating LWCs. So to open the command palette up here, depending on what device you're on, you're going to do Control-Shift-P for PC, and for Windows, it's Command-Shift-P on Mac. Sorry, on Mac. Can't talk anymore. And you can see that gives you all of the different kind of tools that you can use, commands that you can give it to go do all the things. Over here, you can click on the org browser. Remember, that's the second cloud, the one with the open and closed brackets. This actually pulls in all of the metadata from your org. So if you wanted to look at all of the different Apex classes or all of the different flows that you have in the org, you could do that here. You can sync that metadata to this environment and then manipulate those files in the background. So very powerful. We've also got the terminal down here. So you might need to click the little hamburger menu at the top right. You can do terminal and then new terminal to open this information down here. So you could add commands in the terminal window here. You've also got problems that get displayed as you're creating these things. It'll show you all the problems, like that's not valid syntax, or that syntax doesn't exist anywhere, whatever. Our output, so as we deploy things, it'll give us OKs or warnings, errors that are happening. So lots of different things in here. And then we've also got our status bar down at the very bottom here. So it'll tell you which org you're connected to, what your active projects are, any MCP server status, all of the different things here. There is a really great Trailhead module on how to set up VS Code and gives you a full tour on how to use all of the different tools. So if you are not familiar with VS Code and haven't done that before, highly recommend the module. When I first started using VS Code, I think I went through that module like 3 or 4 different times. Each time I had to set up with a different org, I went through that checklist that it gave me just because I couldn't remember. But now it's like a second language. So, all right, we're going to go back to our Kodi Agentforce Vibes sidebar. Down at the bottom here in the chat, so this is where we're going to be chatting with our Kodi agent. The first icon here is how we can select different models that we want to use. I don't think in our case it matters which one you use. I'm just going to leave it on Opus 4.6. And then we're going to put it in planning mode. So click to toggle that on so that it turns blue. And this is really just in planned mode. You can say, hey, I want to plan something out before you actually start building and manipulating files for me. We also want to click on the settings gear here. Let's see.
Settings gear up at top, I thought.
Oh, yeah, up here. The same buttons everywhere. All right. We're going to make sure that our default session mode is set to bypass trust all, which you wouldn't necessarily do in real life, but as we're testing here, that's what we're going to set it to. And then we also want to set the API, AI provider to Salesforce Trust API, which should already be selected. And that's all we need to do.
How Salesforce Cloud touts best practice, and then in an exercise tells us to toggle these kinds of things on. Like,
in order to access all of the things and do cool stuff, give it full trust. All right. We are going to select this toolkit button up at the top here now. And we're going to select MCP servers. And you should just see that all three of these are toggled on. I think that should be done automatically. If they don't,
that was toggled off. So if you guys don't, just toggle that back on.
Yep, toggle them on, make sure they all say connected. I remember, I think it was the Salesforce DX one, took a while to connect when I did this the first time, and I actually had to toggle it off and then back on at least once. All right, I'm going to click back now, and I'm going to click skills. So again, this is these MCP for servers. These are the MCP servers that we've given this agent access to, that we've given Cody access to, just like in our other agent that we were using, we gave it access to those three very specific MCP servers. So same principles here, even for our coding agents. For skills, Salesforce has provided us with these 90 different skills already, all of the skills to do everything you could ever possibly want to do. There is a link in the exercise guide that explains more about what each of these skills actually does, which I recommend reviewing. And maybe you toggle off some of these that aren't needed or would introduce risk into your org. All right. Then we've got rules, and we've got this one rule here, the expert global rule, which has a list of instructions on how to be a great Salesforce developer, essentially, that we're giving this agent to use. And now we're ready to build something. So I'm going to click back to chat. And let's see. Our scenario here is sellers and partner managers need a quick way to judge whether an account is worth attention. So we're going to see where our priorities are. The score uses simple account data like type, annual revenue, employees, Tracy's favorite, and rating. So we're going to build a Lightning Web component that turns that score into a visual health badge that we can display on the page. And we're not actually going to put it on the page. We're going to preview it all here inside of the agent.
But you can't put it on the page if you want to.
You can put it on the page if you want to. We are going to deploy it to the org. And just before we jump into actually building this, just to call out a few things about vibe coding. One, you need to give this agent context, right? So we need to tell it what is the actual business result we want out of this. We need to start with something small, so maybe a basic framework, and then we can start adding all of the bells and whistles, colors and buttons and stylings and whatever. We need to make sure that we give it enough context so that it knows what skills it needs to find and use. And then we need to make sure, of course, that we're testing it and then iterating and making sure that this thing works. So vibe coding is definitely not like create me an LWC to see a health score, right? You need
that's how your end users are talking, you know?
Yeah, just like someone gives you a Salesforce requirement that's like, I need a health score dashboard, and you're like, okay, what does that mean? What do you need on it? What are the KPIs? How are you going to use it? How are you going to action on it? these agents need all of that same information that a human would need to be able to develop this same thing, right? Okay.
I would say
all right, so first,
sorry, I would say, I know everybody on this call knows this, but something I find myself retraining on consistently is vibe coding is 100% about starting small. Your first request is not everything. Like, context and your desired end result is the most important thing, and you started at the most basic thing that you want out of this. Because otherwise the drift is just crazy.
yeah. I'm going to expand our instructions here for a minute. So this is the prompt we're going to be using. We're first going to ask it to create us a formula field on the account called Pipeline Health Score. We're also giving it the exact API name that we want. And we're also outlining how this formula should behave. So we're giving it all of these ranges. We're telling it to subtract 20 if value in this field is cold. So we're giving it all of the rules, right? We're not having it come up with all of this logic itself. We're even giving it an example of what formula syntax to use. And we're also asking it to add read permission for this to the specific partner management permission set. So we're creating a field, we're taking care of access to that field, and then we're asking it to create and or update, in the case of the permission set, the files to be able to do that. So as you can see, we're providing a lot of context. We're not just saying, hey, create a formula field for pipeline health, right? So I'm going to paste this into the chat widget here and click send. And then you can watch it thinking here. You can see which skills it's choosing to select. You can see here it chose this permission set generate skill, custom field generate skill. This is one of my favorite things, is just watching how it's thinking through this process and what it's doing, because it is very similar to how I would approach doing the same thing, right? If someone gave me this prompt, I would say, okay, I need to create a field. Let me figure out the formula for that field. I need to create a permission set. All right. All right, it created a plan for us because we're in our plan mode here. So it's saying, yes, we need to create this number field that calculates this 0 to 100 score. Both files already exist in the project because I created it already, which I should have deleted everything. So if you're doing this, it will have said, okay, I created these versus these already exist. It gives you exactly how it wrote that formula, what it updated in the permission set, including only giving it readable, not editable, of course, because it's a formula. And then some other considerations here. I'm going to approve this plan.
Now, if you guys did not toggle that on to be in a blue plan mode, you saw something different where it was just basically asking you to approve, still going to come to the same outcome as Christy.
Yeah, click approve, and it'll give you the summary of the files that are ready to go, and it'll say, it might deploy it for you because we asked it to create the files already. But if not, we want to prompt it to deploy it for us. So I'm going to say, deploy the account pipeline health score field and partner management permission set to my target org. I can send that and it will deploy both of those files for us. So saving us from using a change set or pushing something through Capado or deploying it using VS Code. However you're deploying your things, this is doing it all the same way. It's just doing it for us.
This is another area
all right.
of the exercise where Christy probably had no problems, but I did. Toggle to your environment. Make sure that that formula field exists. And another issue that I encountered during my exercise is that the permission set didn't deploy, and so the field was basically visible to nobody ever. And so that created a problem for me when I went into my next step to try and create the LWC. So go into your org, make sure the permission set is getting that visibility to that field, and make sure that you are assigned that permission set.
Yeah, good call outs. So yeah, just zero trust again. Let's go to our account, find the field that it created for us, and we can see that it added our formula here that is calculating based on the values of these fields, subtracting for things that are cold or hot. It added a description for us in help text, so great metadata. Good job, Cody. And now I have to remember what screen I was on. Here we go. All right, so we deployed that. We have our confirmation, and now we're going to build the Lightning web component that's going to utilize that formula field that we just created. So I want to just show again this prompt and all of the context that we're giving it. So we're asking this to create a Lightning web component for the account record page called Account Pipeline Health. So we're even giving it our naming convention here. It should use the Lightning data service. So we're giving it structure already to read the current account and display these fields, render the score as a health card. So we're giving it some styling. We're telling it to use SLDS styling, so the Lightning design system. We're asking it to show that score as a progress bar or a large badge, and then include a helper message. And maybe most importantly, if that score is blank, we're going to say show no pipeline health score available. And then we want to make that component available on account record pages. So we're giving it the target information that we would need to include in the LWC as well. So again, we have to be architects here, right? We have a plan in our minds, and maybe we're not writing the actual code for this, but we know the structure, the security, the styling, basically, that we want for this to have before we ask for it. So we're not just blindly asking it to make changes to our org. So I'm going to pop this in. I'm going to add a 2 to the end of mine because I already did this, and I just want to make sure that we can go through the whole thing together. And I'm going to hit send. We'll let it think about it. We can see the skills and tools that it's selecting to use to be able to do this. It's doing some stuff way faster than I would be able to. Although I did find that this took a little bit, like it's not immediate, right? It's got stuff to do. It's already generated one file for us here. We're working on creating that file. And we can kind of track its progress. So we've got our JavaScript file, our HTML file, our CSS file, and then our JS meta file with all of our information. And it created all this cool stuff for us. We can, right above the chat, you'll see 4 files, and right above that, we can see it says 1 file available to preview. And if we click on that preview button, it should open a preview over here for us.
I will say, for me, it never opens the preview.
Oh, really?
It never opened the preview for me, so just know I did something wrong, or you're just like me and we're awesome. I kind of wonder if I had that section that was acting as like a pop-up blocker.
Now it is saying that we should deploy this. The instruction said we should deploy it before we preview. So let's go ahead and ask it to deploy it. So I'm going to add it to mine again because that's the file that I created. And it's going to deploy it to the org for us. And again, this is just deploying the component bundle. Deployment succeeded. Cool. Just gonna reload this. Now, the first time I did this, I did not get a preview. It said it couldn't load it, and I had to add a prompt to ask it to make it like preview compatible.
I treated mine a little bit differently. I said, screw the preview. And I went about it my own way, just in the org. I was like, I dragged the LWC component myself just onto the page layout to see how it rendered.
You could do that. I'm going to ask it to make it preview friendly. So I'm going to say the preview is not loading. Please make the component preview friendly and see what it updates so that the thing actually loads, right?
It's so much nicer to it. I also took the path of when I dragged the LC onto the page, I got another error message where it said, hey, the field rating does not exist. Well, quick digging into my org and how it was spun up, every last field had no FLS for anybody on every field.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why it wasn't rendering correctly. So that was another thing that I had to do, was like give access to all profiles. And the second that I did that, everything rendered correctly. But that was, again, that was how my sandbox org was presented to me.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah,
that's
fun.
That's probably the issue with all of these org farm orgs when they spin up a million at a time. Something happened.
Yeah. Do my angry texts now make sense? Is it fair? Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So my preview loaded now up here. So this is what our component looks like. So we can see it's got our account icon. It has a label, pipeline health. This is not part of the component. This is just telling us that we're showing sample data in our preview here. It's loading our health scores. We've got 85 out of 100. And we did ask it to show it as a progress bar. So we've got that. And we've got also a badge pill here. And then thumbs up. This has strong pipeline. And then our account type and rating information that kind of all played into this score. So yes, now we would be able to take this and add it to our account page if we wanted to. Let's see. So it's asking us to do an update here. Account ID. Like, we don't care about that because it already did. Does everybody have data in theirs? So yesterday when I did this, I didn't automatically have data, and I had to do these next two prompts to ask it to default to an existing account ID so that I could see a preview. So you might need to do that if you are not seeing data here and instead seeing like, we can't display this right now. Okay. I'm going to skip to step 4, where we're going to start iterating on this. So as we're reviewing this, we're seeing how it looks, of course. Is this useful for users? Does the label match the range that we're showing? Does the styling feel good? So Salesforce is asking us to make an adjustment here. So we're going to make a small improvement that would make the health card clearer for sellers. Keep the improvement small enough to build, deploy, and preview quickly. Explain the change before editing files. So we're asking Agent Cody here to recommend an improvement that it would make. We're not saying do something. So let's see what Cody recommends for us. And again, we asked it to explain the change before it actually makes any changes. So it should just give us a plan here, and then we can tell it to go ahead and do that. I think this is a good way of kind of brainstorming with your agent, similar to how we all use ChatGPT right now. Like, hey, I have this idea. Is it a good idea? Or what would you recommend in this scenario? So this is recommending add a distance to next tier indicator. Interesting. So a single line like 5 points to strong or 12 points above the threshold, so that maybe the seller can see if they just do one more activity, it might make this account way healthier. So I'm going to say, cool, that's a good idea. Let's build that improvement and keep the change focused and update only the files needed. This is a great call out. Sometimes when I'm vibe coding an LWC or something, you'll ask for a very small change in the CSS perhaps, but it'll change all of the files. Like it'll change something everywhere. Then you have to figure out all the things that it changed and why. So keeping it focused on only what it should be doing is really important. So I'm going to tell it to do it. It's going to do it, and then we'll ask it to deploy it, and then we'll be able to preview that again. I know we've just hit the 2-hour mark. How are people feeling? There is, I think, 1 or 2 more exercises we could go through, or if people's brains are fried, we could stop after this one.
The one that we have after this is to build the partner dashboard.
Dashboard. Okay.
Yep.
All right, it did all these things. I'm going to ask it to deploy it again. Again, I'm going to add a 2 to mine, but you wouldn't need to if this was your first time doing it. We're going to deploy it, and we can see in the preview already it added this little note, 5 points above strong threshold. So strong must start at 80. We're at 85. I really don't see how that would be super helpful to a seller, but maybe I could see how that would be useful if it was like, hey, do one more thing, and they would be a really strong account, or they would definitely close this deal. But I think this is pretty vague and silly, but that's okay. Okay, but anyways, we just vibe coded this cool component that could then be embedded on your account page. So if we went to Lightning Anchor pages, I'm just going to refresh real quick. Oh Lord, let me do it from an account.
See? This is where it starts to wrong you.
We'll do edit page from here. And I hate that this is all one huge column, but that's okay.
I know. What kind of madness? Who would choose a one header, a one section record page?
Yeah, insane. So I have 2 account pipeline healths listed here because I just did it twice, but we can drag that onto our page.
Oh, you suck.
To save and activate, of course. This is not a great...
This is a widget that belongs small on a right-hand side
panel, exactly.
Not the whole
span. Sidebar for sure. I always click save one more time, even though you don't have to. And then we can see that on our page here. So yeah, so much white space. Never put this full width.
So gross. It's grotesque. Yeah.
So gross. Okay. All right, cool. Well, let's do exercise 3 then, vibe code a partner performance dashboard. And this one I actually haven't done yet. So doing it for the first time, Tracy had all sorts of errors.
So many errors. This is the one where I think let's do exercise 3. It puts a good pin on this workshop. And also, once again, since I am the Sherpa of bad luck, I can tell you guys the errors that I ran into so that if you run into them too, you can bypass them because I figured out how to get around them as well.
Perfect. All right, so let's look at our scenario here. The partner management team needs better visibility into integration partner performance. Partners are represented as accounts, great, and their sales activity is tracked in leads and opportunities. Leadership wants a simple dashboard that helps them spot partner revenue, pipeline, and follow-up opportunities. So we are going to vibe code this. And just a call out again, we need to make sure we're giving it context, starting small, and making sure that we're telling it what we actually want out of this, so it's not just building some random things. All right, so back in our vibe coding area, I am going to close out of this. I'm going to create a new project.
Smart.
Just to clear everything out. And we're going to enable plan mode again. And I'm just going to copy and paste this prompt, and we can look at what we're putting here. So we're telling it that we want to build this dashboard that helps sales leaders understand these various metrics. Before making any changes, explore this project and the connected org context. So we're telling it to go do some research first. We're telling it to use all the available metadata, MCP servers, and skills that it has access to understand what already exists in this org. So we're saying, hey, before we go and build a new dashboard, let's see if there's already a dashboard that does this same thing, which that's the same thing that an admin or developer would do, right? I mean, hopefully, ideally.
Ideally.
We're telling it to look for relevant objects and fields, record types, all these different things. And then we're going to ask it to recommend 2 or 3 possible first version designs for this dashboard. And we're giving it a few different things that we want it to explain, like for this version, what questions does it answer, what data is it going to be using, and what the first useful version should include, and then any risks. Again, we're telling it, don't edit anything yet, don't build anything. Let's just do some research and figure out what we want to do. So you can see this is kind of following the same process as a person would, ideally.
This one's really funny. The Cody's going to pop off on this one. And the funniest part about this and how real life request this feels is Cody's going to be like, did you know that there's absolutely no partner opportunities?
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
More data.
So
right.
It made me laugh. So funny.
We can see all these different skills that it's using, which is great. It says that it can see the project structure. It's going to explore all these different things. It's doing a lot. It's looking at that component we just built, which is fun.
Nice.
I like just watching it scroll forever. Okay, here we go.
No, it keeps going. Cody's got a lot to say here.
All right, so first it's telling us what exists already. So it picked up that we have that pipeline help score formula that we created. We have the LWC component that we created that's giving us this information already in the permission set. It found, of course, our accounts and opportunities and our tasks. Those are the things that we want to track as part of this dashboard. It scrolled me all the way back up to the top, so that's cool. All right, now it's giving us our design options. So let's see, design option A, partner revenue scoreboard, answers the question, which partners are delivering revenue and who is underperforming relative to their pipeline health. Cool, sounds good. The first useful version includes a Lightning app page with some cool stuff on it. It uses an Apex controller and a Lightning web component. That solution would rely on the account type to identify partners. Okay, that looks fine. Design option B, pipeline velocity and follow-up tracker. That sounds super actionable. This is going to answer the question, which partner deals are stalling and where are we missing follow-up activity? It's going to look at opportunities and tasks and our pipeline health score that we created. This is going to use a record page component and an app page component that shows a pipeline chart, activity, a button. Okay. Also utilizes Apex and uses our same permission set. So I like that it's identifying things that already exist in the org and it's not just suggesting we create everything new. That's excellent. This requires users to log tasks consistently, which we know doesn't happen. Says it might be noisy. Okay, cool. Last modified date used for stage movement. No.
Risk.
More precise tracking would require field history. Yep. Okay. So I like that it's giving us useful information about our org, right? You have this set up, you need it, but you don't have it. Design option C, partner portfolio health overview. I love the titles it comes up with. How healthy is our overall partner channel and which partners should I invest in or put on watch? This is going to look at account opportunity and contact. It's also interesting that all three of these recommended solutions are looking at different objects.
Yeah.
Even though we're trying to answer the same question. So that's interesting. This one uses an app page, a quadrant scatter view chart. That sounds fun. And a list.
Read those. Give me a break.
Some more Apex. I hate scatter charts. And reuses our formula field that we created. The current formula is account centric. Yep. Chart rendering depends on chart.js. That's fine. Least action oriented of the three. Okay. So its recommendation is to start with option A. So I guess we do it. Let's see. We're supposed to ask one follow-up question here. Which dashboard design gives sales leadership the most useful first version with the least implementation risk and why? Recommend the simplest version that still uses live Salesforce data.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that's a follow-up question that I would ask. I feel like I would take what it did and make my own decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess my own follow-up.
Interact with it like this.
Yeah.
Option A wins on both. Is that the one that it recommended before? Yeah, option A. Lowest risk. With text I can totally read. That's great. Most useful version. Are we hitting the number and who's contributing? Those are things that I would want. All right. Let's approve and build.
Yeah.
And you'll see when we approved that, it unhighlighted our plan mode. So it turned off plan mode and it's going to start doing stuff, which is so exciting. It does say in the instructions, and I had this experience when I was vibe coding at Trailblazer DX. Sometimes when you approve something, it won't automatically start doing it, and then you have to prompt it to. So just know that that's a thing, and you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
All right, it loaded a bunch of skills for us. It's looking at our business logic, a user interface, our security. Excellent. I do still like that it's using our same partner permission set. We'll see if it automatically deploys it for us. Otherwise, we're going to ask it to.
It did not for me.
Okay. We'll see. I love that we both get different things.
I know, it's fantastic.
And that's probabilistic agents, right? It's not going to be the same thing every time.
It's not going to be the same thing. Yep. And the other problem, after mine deployed, mine struggled to create the app page. So I went back into my org, I created my own app, and I said, deploy this damn dashboard to this app page. And that's when it worked. So that's another area where mine struggled.
Yeah.
We could blame me, but I choose not to. But honestly, like I was saying this to Christy earlier, mine having so many issues where it was not following, it wasn't executing in the way that this workshop was written, allowed me to, vibe code again, really work with the vibe coding in a way that I would normally, right? Which is, I'm not one of those people who's like, the LinkedIn screenshots are like, don't I effing, org, like that's not how I'm vibe coding. But I was able to be like, okay, here's where your problems are. Here's how I want you to fix them. And like, I still got to the same result, but I was able to use my own kind of like prompts and see it really how vibe coding worked according to how I work myself.
While you're talking, I'm following along here, and it's created our Apex controller. It's created our Lightning Web Component bundle here. It's working on our Flexi page. I like that it had to tell itself for an app page, the Flexi page is simpler. Let's see what else are we doing here. Custom application. Now it's updating our permission set. And we'll see that this has been going for about 3.5 minutes.
Mine in total went for all.
Went 12, you said?
Almost 11 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this doesn't take that long.
Right. Yeah. If not, I can share my screen and I'll show you what the partner page looked like for me as the end result.
Yeah. That might be good. I don't want to just have people staring at my emails here. Still doing something. We'll give it to 5 minutes and then maybe we should just share the screen.
I mean, this was, there we go. I hit a run again.
We need to run. So sometimes it'll do things that you need to approve. We can see down here that it's working on or has already created 12 different files. So this one dashboard is introducing a lot of components into our org, which is one thing that I've noticed about vibe coding in general, no matter if it's the Agentforce vibes or just using ChatGPT or Claude. It'll get you to the same result, but sometimes it just adds so much more code and extra stuff that you don't actually need. That's just in the end introducing tech debt, right? So always good to review what it actually created for you. All right, we're over 5 minutes. I think I should stop sharing and let's just share the final result here.
Yes, let's see. There we go. So this is what mine ended up looking like. Again, I went through tons of issues. It was not able to create the app page like it said it was planning to. I refreshed mine a bunch of times and the app page just never appeared. I made sure to recheck my connection and make sure that it's connected to this org. Everything there was looking fine. It just didn't do it for me. So as a result, I just created my own app page, went back to the vibe coding, said, hey, send it here, go build it here. And that is when it was finally able to work. Again, in my org, my Cody said, hey, you have no partner opportunities. What the hell are you tracking? It said it nicer than that. So my partner performance dashboard is based only on account data, based only on that score that we built. So you look at this, and while it's cool in theory, again, you're dealing with an org that doesn't have great data. So it's not like,
Super
looking at this for longer than 3 seconds, you see how unimpressive it is and how you'd manipulate it. But even so, like, this is still a great example of, like, if you added more data, added more complexity, I think it could do a reasonably good job. But again, to Christy's point, read the files that it's really making, because it's doing a lot of extras, in my opinion, that I would cut out of my org, again, to cut down on tech debt.
I definitely think these things that it creates are obviously much prettier than a normal Salesforce dashboard, right? So
Sure.
the experience for users is above and beyond, and you can create really amazing experiences. So definitely play with it and think of use cases for your company and your orgs, because this is, I mean, it's truly really cool what you can design and develop. And could a developer also develop this same thing? Yes, but it would take at least a week, right, to come up with this design, all the different components that went into it, all the testing. Of course, you still have to test this. Going back and forth with a developer, setting up a Zoom call or a Teams meeting to give feedback. And we did this in, well, you said like 11 minutes, right? So
yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Well, that was the last exercise that we're going to go through today. So hopefully you guys found this valuable. Again, you're able to keep these orgs. They expire August 30th, August 31st, however many days are in August, the end of August. So please utilize them. Remember, if you did not copy and paste your credentials, I assume you still have your orgs open, so you still have that opportunity. If you don't, you can go to that same org sign up landing page and just put in the password again, workshop, and your email address, and it'll send you a login link to your email. I've done that several times now. It works seamlessly. And then you also have the link to the exercise guide here, so you can go back through all of the steps and try them again and make sure you understand how you would implement that in your own org. You could also try following those same steps to connect the MCP servers to at least Claude. That gives you one MCP server that you can connect to for ChatGPT. Unless you pay for that feature or that plan, you won't be able to do it there. But it might be good to try it outside of a Salesforce environment too, because it's likely that's what you would be using in real life and not this weird fake Salesforce version. So also nothing on Salesforce, but maybe they did something in that org that made it work better. I don't know. So being able to use it in the wild and make sure that it works the same way and gives you the same experience, I think would be good also. So we will post the recording of this. It'll be on the same event page where you joined the call today, and also on the YouTube channel. So the links will be the same. You can launch it from anywhere. And yeah.
Christy and I sound really good on 1.5x speed. Any faster and we're not understandable. But other than that, we'll see you guys next month.